Ozempic, is this a miracle drug for obesity, fat loss, etc.? Or is this a disaster? This is what we're going to go over in this video. For the rest of the video, I'm going to refer to Ozempic as its actual drug name, not the brand name, which is semaglutide. And what semaglutide is a GLP-1 agonist. So I'm going to be referring to it as a GLP-1 agonist because there are many other types of drugs that are under the umbrella of GLP-1 agonists. Ozempic is not the only one. In fact, it's the most outdated one. What GLP-1 stands for is glucagon-like peptide 1. What this does is mimics a naturally occurring hormone in the body that causes you to feel full. Appetite suppression tells your body to stop eating after you feel a big meal and you feel like, oh, I don't want to eat anymore at all. It's like your body's telling you not to eat. That is going to be what the natural hormone this drug mimics. Now, before we get into it, none of this is medical advice. All of this is just for entertainment, educational purposes, and telling you my own experience. Do not do anything, do not follow anything that I did without consulting your doctor first, of course. GLP-1s have been making a huge stride on social media. Obviously, people are hearing about it. It's exploded in the past year or two. However, GLP-1s have been actually used for decades now by those with diabetes because it has some properties that helps with insulin, as well as bodybuilders for appetite suppression. So even though you're only probably hearing about this recently, unless you're in these circles, this has been around for a long time. There's been a lot of studies done on these drugs. They're not new whatsoever. So what this drug actually does is, like I said, signals to your brain the satiety feeling that you are full, that you no longer have the cravings to eat. It also slows gastric emptying. So it actually slows your rate of digestion. So the food that you do eat makes you actually feel physically full for longer. It also helps your body produce more insulin when blood sugar is high. Since the creation of semaglutide, there has been a couple other GLP-1 drugs that have the GLP-1 agonist in it, but have added onto it and made it better. So one of these is going to be called tirzepatide, and this goes under the brand name of Mounjaro. You might have heard of it if you've seen ads for Ozempic. You might also see ads for Mounjaro. And what this does is it adds an extra layer to the GLP-1 agonist. So it does have the glucagon-like peptide 1 in it, which causes all the things we already went over. In addition, it also has a GIP agonist. What this stands for is glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. Yes, it's a mouthful. That is what it is, though. And what this does is it refines the effects of the GLP-1 agonist. So it makes the side effects, which we'll get into it in the future, more manageable, and also increases the ability for the GLP-1 to do its job and the effectiveness of it. So what people have found in studies is that the tirzepatide actually causes more fat loss over time, is more successful at it than semaglutide. A more recent creation is the peptide known as Reta. This is the new one. This is the best one. However, it is not FDA approved yet. It is not prescribed medically, but there are studies being done on it, and it has the most effective rate of long-term fat loss over tirzepatide and semaglutide. What retatrutide is it's semaglutide, so it has the GLP-1. It is tirzepatide as well, so it has the GLP-1 plus the GIP, but it also has a glucagon receptor activation. And what this does is that it increases your fat oxidation, it increases your body's ability to burn that stubborn fat, and it actually ups your metabolism a bit even when at rest. So when I would take this, I noticed that even my heart rate would get a little higher than it would normally when doing cardio or even just at rest, and this allowed me to burn more calories throughout the day. Now, the mechanism when it comes to weight loss for all of these is going to, as always, be a calorie deficit. If you take a GLP-1 and you still power through and eat 4,000 calories a day when your maintenance calories is 3,000, you're still going to gain weight at 1,000 calories a day. You're going to gain 2 pounds of fat probably around there a week, maybe a little bit of muscle if you're working out. So you can't just take this and then forget about it, all right? Now, it makes it very easy. I've had I remember when I first heard about this, I had a client come in. It was a woman who was about 300 pounds when I was an in-person trainer at Crunch. And she was on it. It was my first time talking to anyone who was on it. And she obviously had a huge appetite, very undisciplined eater to get to 300 pounds. And she was on it. And I remember I had to track all her food. I was trying to get her to eat more. She literally couldn't eat more than 500 calories. So the effect of this can be very strong if used and dosed in that way. With these dosings, however, can come some side effects. Some side effects include nausea, especially after eating big meals, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, so all kind of intestinal stomach side effects. Now, these can be largely avoided if you keep the dose moderate and you don't stuff yourself with too much food at once. So you give your body time to digest. And if you do these things, these side effects can be mainly avoided. And none of these are going to be like long-term dangerous. These are just short-term side effects. There have been some long-term side effects that have been noted anecdotally, and some of these include pancreatitis, stomach paralysis, bowel obstruction, etc. So all things that have to do with the gut down there. Now, you may hear things about like osteoporosis and things like that, which we'll get into, and I'll give my take on the overall side effects of things. But I believe if used properly, these side effects can be completely avoided. As we see in this study here, meta-analysis done on many different studies on semaglutide found that there was literally no negative long-term effects in the areas that they studied. And anecdotally from bodybuilders, people use it smartly. They don't get long-term negative side effects. The problem comes from the misuse of this drug, just like it would be with any other drug. Despite that, there's been a lot of negativity surrounding this drug, a lot of hatred on it. I know the osteoporosis thing, what this is gonna come from is a lack of nutrients over time. Imagine if someone who goes from being obese goes eating less than 500 calories a day for the course of a year. They're gonna have nutrient deficiencies, and this is what is gonna lead to a lot of these problems of people being emancipated and weak and having all these problems. They take too high a dose to where they can't really even eat enough nutrients that they need to sustain their body. So that is not how this should be used, but that is how it is being prescribed. There's also a lot of like health and fitness influencers that I see bashing it. It's kind of gone down lately, but especially when it first came out, there was a lot of bashing of it. Those who are more into the biohacking space, enhanced bodybuilding, etc., have really been praising it and spreading the good information about it. But a lot of the mainstream fitness people have been bashing it. I have my suspicions. I have my suspicions for why this is the case, but that's why a lot of negativity has been surrounding it. A lot of negative press. Again, we'll get into these reasons. Now, my experience when it comes to using GLP-1s, I tried semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide. Retatrutide is going to be the most superior for sure if you can get your hands. If I was going to do it, I would definitely do that just for the extra GIP and especially the glucagon activation. But the thing about retatrutide is that it milligram for milligram has less of an appetite suppressant effect. So the main reason that I take it is because I have an absolutely massive appetite. Just insane. I've eaten like 5,000 calories in one sitting before, just easily, and I still tried to eat more. Just insane appetite. So as someone who's, into fitness and bodybuilding, this is not ideal. Now, I was able to, throughout most of my life, manage this and not get fat by suppressing my appetite in other ways, such as fasting. So getting myself on a fasting schedule, limiting myself intermittent fasting, or even doing extended fasts. I had a lot of success from that. But this is going to be far superior because what this does allows me to have full satiety just eating at, if I properly dose it, the optimal calorie deficit that I need without having to do super crazy fast to restrict my appetite. Because normally if I would eat all throughout the day, I would eat way too much, gain way too much weight, and just would not be optimal to getting me to my goals. So instead, what I do, I take Reta. A lot of times I'll even add a little bit of semaglutide onto it just to add a little bit additional appetite suppressant effect, because semaglutide is all appetite suppressant, whereas retatrutide has those other ones as well that do help. And what this I found is that I can just easily stick to whatever calorie deficit I want to, right? I have less cravings. I don't think about food as much when I'm on a cut, so I can focus on work better, focus on things I actually need to do. In addition, I even make better food choices. So I have less cravings for junk food. I'm more smart about it. And I notice that I have better mental and physical energy while in the same calorie deficit. When I come off of it, my appetite just comes back to normal. So that's another myth, is that you need to be on this forever. You don't need to be on this forever. You're just simply on it, and then when you come off, your appetite will come back. So that's another lie that's been perpetrated by the media, is you need to be on it forever. Simply false. You do not need to be on it forever. You can come off it. It will just go back to normal. So how these drugs should be used is, first of all, with proper research, coaching, knowledge, and protocols. Okay, you gotta first understand these things, because it can be dangerous. What happened to me one time is I actually got a little too eager. I had about a decent dose left in my bottle, but it was kind of like 1.8 doses, not exactly 2. So I was like, screw it. I was near the end of my cut. I took a big dose, and I actually had to end up going to the hospital. It was brutal. I was throwing up, diarrhea constantly. I was so dehydrated, but I couldn't drink water. I'm not even gonna go that into it, how awful it was, but it was one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life. I had to end up going to the ER and getting an IV so I could actually get fluids pumped into me, because I couldn't intake any through my mouth. Now, this is from me being an idiot. It wasn't anything from the drug. So I haven't had any clients that I've consulted with ever have this issue, and I have not had this issue anytime after that, because I simply follow the base protocols, which is to start low and work your way up over time. There is a bit of a tolerance effect as you're doing this. So the way that I do this is I start low when I start my cut, and as time goes on, you'll find that same dose causes less and less appetite suppression. So what I do is I slowly ramp it up, just one at a time, like retatrutide, 1 milligram to start, and ramp it up, after a few weeks, 2 milligrams per week, and 3, 4, etc. And by the time I'm at the end of the cut, I'm probably at a higher dose, and then I stop the retatrutide, go into my muscle gaining phase where I can eat more, and then start it up again when I'm ready to cut. Losing weight is gonna be a lot harder than maintaining. So really, you're gonna wanna use these for losing weight. There are people who use them on a bulk as well, which there are properties that do help with that, and staying lean on a bulk and not overeating. In addition, once you get to your ideal physique, you can use this in very low doses as kind of a maintenance, so you don't overeat and lose the progress that you made. You still want to make sure that you are tracking your food when you're doing this, because even though I'm on this dose of retatrutide and semaglutide, if I wanted to, I could still eat way over my maintenance calories. Like, my appetite's just insane. It powers through even this stuff. If I take high enough dose, I could smash it, but I'm not taking that high enough dose to do that. I'm taking a high enough dose to make it so if I use basic discipline, I can stay in a calorie deficit. Unlike without it, if I'm eating all throughout the day and not doing fasting, my appetite's so high that my body's just gonna be screaming at me to eat, and it's very, very hard to consistently stick to a calorie deficit. I can do it for some days, and then I just binge. It's brutal. Yes, lack of discipline in some ways, but I have an extreme appetite. So why not do this? Now, I find it pretty disturbing that these drugs have gotten so much backlash in the media, from influencers, mainstream media, etc. And I think there are a few different reasons for this. One is going to be the false ideology of nature equals good fallacy. Basically, what this means is that anything that's natural is going to be good, and anything that's unnatural is bad. So because Ozempic is not a natural way of losing weight, people are going to say that it's bad. This is completely false. Nature is working against you. Your body literally deteriorates over time. Your body gets diseases. It's just, your body is only designed to survive long enough to reproduce and then die. Okay, it's not designed to live 80 years of a spiritually fulfilled life in a modern society. So in this modern society, I believe we should use modern technology to make the most of it. Also, in this modern society, it is not natural to have this abundance of food that we have access to 24/7, which is why people are obese. People didn't used to be obese back in nature. And in fact, it was beneficial for their survival to have a huge appetite, so that it's such a motivation to go out and get food. Nowadays, it leads to early death. So no, nature is not compatible fully with this modern society. And so the idea that anything natural is good, anything unnatural is bad to use is completely false. Another one is that it's just business. Ozempic and GLP-1s, while they're expensive if you get them out of pocket through actual prescriptions, they cause a person who's otherwise obese to lose all the weight and get to a healthy body fat. What's that going to do? That's going to make them have to get or able to get off all the meds that they're on to manage their obesity. And it's going to make Big Pharma a lot less money. So that's one of the reasons that it's demonized in the media as well. Another reason I think that it's so looked down upon or shamed by just normies and mainstream people is that I think a lot of people like having someone to look down upon. And so those people with normal to low appetites who aren't really confident, but they don't have much going for themselves, but at least they aren't fat, like having people below them that they could laugh at. Right? Or make themselves feel better about. So what this does is it levels the playing field for those people who have naturally huge appetites and allows them to get to a healthy weight and overcome that negative aspect of their biology in this modern society. I think a lot of people don't like that because they like to have people below them. They don't like to see people come up, especially when they're insecure. For those people who are confident, it's not really going to have this effect as much. And the reason that I can see this proved is because when someone admits to taking these things, they bash the person, right? They bash them as being bad for taking it. There's no element of concern. It's just or help. It's literally just saying that they are awful, lazy, ad hominem attacks on them when I see people open about taking this stuff. And it's really going to be this insecurity that people have that causes them to hate on other people who are positively changing their lives and to be against things that can help people change their lives so well. So insecurity, I think, is one of the worst things that is causing detriments to our society and making people, hate each other and not want the best for each other. So I think this is one of the most important things we fix is people's insecurities, which I hope is why you're here at the Evolved Method Life. So instead, you should have empathy for people who are very overweight. And yeah, you don't have to be obese to use this stuff. I use this stuff and I have visible abs. But you should have empathy for people who are overweight, understand that these people have just genetic appetites that are going to be way higher than the average person. Okay, there's some people who I've worked with who they struggle to eat more than 1,500 calories. Does that person not being obese make them more disciplined than someone who's obese, but their body screams at them to eat if they eat anything under 5,000 calories? No, it just means they have different genetics, and this person's biology wants them to eat more and is going to scream at them constantly and make them suffer if they don't. So that's why we can use this modern technology to help people like that stay at a healthy appetite and get to a healthy body weight and be happier and healthier overall. And when you think about it, the negative effects of being obese, both physically, health-wise, mentally, socially, romantically, are so detrimental that any slight negative short-term side effect or even the chance at long-term side effect that people don't know about now, in my opinion, is so one-sided in the favor of using these things to get to a lower body fat than it is to stay obese. If you go on forums or Reddit for GLP-1s, Ozempic, Reta, etc., you'll see thousands and thousands of stories of people saying that these drugs saved their life. So grateful for their existence. And I think that that's the most important thing, is making the world a happier place, helping people reduce their suffering. And so therefore, stamp of approval is boom, Ozempic, GLP-1s, tirzepatide, retatrutide, absolute miracle drug. I'm not going to recommend you to do it, of course. This is not medical advice. However, I use it and I will continue to use it probably for the rest of my life until I just don't care about my body fat when I'm old and gray. Maybe even then I will, because it's probably it might even be more important then. So I hope you guys got good information from this video. Keep an open mind about it. I'm not saying go out and do this stuff, but if you have any other questions, put comments down below. DM us on Instagram. You got to go ahead and DM Joey. That's going to be all for this one, guys. Subscribe for truth. Peace.